My name's Dylan Mercer. I'm 35, and up until about a year ago, I thought I had the whole adulting thing down. I worked as an IT analyst in Spokane, Washington. Not exactly a dream job, but it paid the bills, came with health insurance, and let me sleep at night without worrying about my bank account. I was engaged to Kendra Hale. She was 32, did marketing for some local firm, and we'd been living together for a couple of years. We got engaged 8 months before everything blew up. Kendra always talked about growing together. She'd bring it up during dinner, long drives, whenever we'd plan for the future. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Then my company got swallowed up by a big corporation from Seattle. They kept maybe 40% of us. I wasn't one of them. Just like that, after 6 years, I was out. 2 weeks severance and a generic email. I remember sitting in my car, staring at the message, trying to figure out what I was supposed to do next. I didn't freak out. I dove straight into job hunting. Freelance gigs, old contacts, anything remotely in my field. Problem was, Spokane's whole tech scene was getting squeezed. Jobs were posted everywhere, but nobody was actually hiring. So I did what I had to do. I sold my car. It was a 2019 Honda Accord. Nothing flashy, but it got me about $11,000 and bought me some time. I started piecing together small IT contracts from home. Remote server maintenance, troubleshooting, some basic web work. Not exactly what I pictured at 35, but it kept the bills paid. Kendra didn't see it that way. At first, she acted supportive, or at least tried to. She'd ask how the search was going, say things would turn around, but something changed. You could feel it. The way she looked at me working at the kitchen table instead of heading to an office. The way wedding talk faded into, let's just take things slow. Our conversations got shorter. The silences stretched out. She started working late, hanging out with friends on weekends without inviting me. I didn't push. I figured she needed space, and honestly, I was too busy trying to keep us afloat. Then came that Tuesday morning in early October 2024. I was at my laptop, wrapping up some contract for a small business in Curtin. Kendra walked in, dressed for work, coffee in hand. She sat on the couch across from me. I looked up, expecting the usual quick goodbye. Instead, she just stared for a second, then said, "I can't stay tied to someone with no future." No build-up, no warning. Just that, like she'd rehearsed it 100 times. I didn't yell, didn't beg. I just looked at her and said, "I understand." She blinked like she'd expected a fight, but I meant it. I got exactly what she was saying. She wasn't leaving because we drifted apart or wanted different things. She was leaving because I wasn't the safe, predictable option anymore. The moment things got tough, she bailed. She packed a bag that afternoon. Some clothes, toiletries, a few books. Said she'd grab the rest later. I told her to take her time. She left without looking back. I sat there after she was gone, just staring at the door. Part of me felt relieved. Part of me felt like I'd failed some test I never knew I was taking. But mostly, I was just tired. Here's the thing Kendra didn't know, what she couldn't have known. 4 days before she left, on a random Friday afternoon, I'd bought a Powerball ticket. Dumb, I know. I'd stopped at this grimy gas station after a client meeting in Deer Park, the kind of place with flickering lights and burnt coffee. I had $7 left after filling up, so I thought, why not? I picked my numbers, my birthday, Kendra's birthday, the day we moved in together. Ironic looking back? Honestly, I forgot all about it until the Saturday night after she left. First night alone in 2 years, couldn't sleep, scrolling on my phone at 2 a.m. I caught a news alert, Powerball jackpot hit in Washington. Single winner. I almost scrolled past. Something made me stop. I got up, wandered into the kitchen, and dug through the junk drawer until I found the ticket. My hands were shaking so much I could barely pull up the winning numbers on my phone. Checked once. Checked again. Then a third time, because I didn't trust myself not to screw it up. Every single number matched. $9 million. After taxes and the lump sum, it came out to about $4.8 million. That's the kind of money that flips your life upside down. It wipes out every problem that kept me up at night for the last 3 months. But sitting there in my kitchen at 2:30 in the morning, staring at that ticket, I didn't feel happy or even relieved. I felt cold. All I could think about was Kendra, sitting on the couch, telling me I had no future. I didn't tell a soul. Not my parents, not my friends, nobody. Sunday morning, I called a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. I found this guy in Seattle, Richard Volkman, who specialized in asset protection and managing sudden wealth. His retainer was $5,000, which I slapped on a credit card I knew I'd pay off soon. Volkman didn't bother with small talk. I told him straight up, lottery win, recent breakup, need to make sure the money stays cleanly separated. He nodded like he'd heard it all before. You were smart to call before claiming, he said. Timing matters here. We got to work right away. First up, making sure Kendra couldn't touch a cent. We'd been engaged but never married. Lived together, but Washington doesn't do common law marriage. The ticket was in my name, bought after she'd already said she was leaving. Volkman wrote everything down. Date she moved out, when I bought the ticket, all of it. Then we went further. Closed out the joint checking account. I pulled my half, then shut it down. Took her name off my credit card. Told the landlord Kendra was moving out, and I'd handle the lease from now on. Every financial tie gone. Volkman helped me claim the prize anonymously. Turns out in Washington you can stay private if you set up a trust. So that's what we did. The Dylan Mercer Trust took the money. My name stayed out of the news. No press, no giant check, no interviews. Just a wire transfer to an account only I could touch. 3 weeks of paperwork and late nights later, it was done. 3 weeks where I kept expecting Kendra to call, wanting to talk. She never did. She moved in with a friend across town. I checked her Instagram once, saw she was fine, and blocked her. Once the money landed, early November, I made another call. I was leaving Spokane. Nothing left for me there. No job, no relationship, no reason to stick around in a town that felt like a graveyard for my old life. I started hunting for houses in Montana. I wanted quiet. I wanted to disappear. I found a place in Whitefish just outside Glacier National Park. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2 acres, a view of the lake. Not a mansion, but it felt right. They wanted $375,000. I offered $400,000 cash. No inspection, close in 2 weeks. They said yes in less than an hour. I packed up everything I cared about. Clothes, books, my computer. A few pieces of furniture. Sold the rest or just left it behind. Didn't tell anyone I was leaving. Shut down my Facebook and Instagram. Changed my number. Forwarded my mail to a P.O. box in Whitefish. And just like that, Spokane lost track of me. The drive to Whitefish took 5 hours. Did it on a Wednesday morning in late November. Cold air, clear roads. When I pulled up to the house, I just stood there for a while. The lake was glassy. Pine trees everywhere, only the wind for company. No traffic, no voices, no Kendra. I moved in that day and slept on an air mattress in the living room since my furniture wouldn't arrive till Friday. Didn't matter. For the first time in months I could breathe. I wasn't dumb with the money. I knew $4.8 million could vanish if you weren't careful. I kept $200,000 in cash. Enough for bills and surprises. The rest went into a mix of index funds, bonds, and some REITs. Nothing fancy. Volkman put me in touch with a financial advisor in Kalispell who handled windfalls for a living. We'd meet every month, look everything over. Simple. Meanwhile, I started volunteering IT help at local nonprofits in Whitefish. Animal shelters, food banks, a youth center that needed their network fixed. I never told anyone about the money. I just showed up, did the job, and left. It felt good doing something useful again. Not because I had to. 3 months slid by. Quiet, steady months. I hiked. I read books. Actually learned how to cook instead of nuking leftovers. I made small talk at the coffee shop. Real conversations, nothing about work, money, or relationships. After a while, I started feeling like myself again. Or maybe someone new. Hard to say, and honestly, I didn't care much. Then, end of February 2025, Kendra found me. I was at the Roasted Bean, my usual Saturday morning spot. About 2 weeks before March. I'd become just another regular, decent espresso, good pastries, window seat, laptop open. I'd pick up the odd freelance gig here and there, just to keep my mind sharp. Watch people, sip coffee. Normal life. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, Spokane area code. I almost ignored it, but the preview caught my eye. Dylan, it's Kendra. We need to talk. I stared at it a while, then deleted it and went back to my coffee. 10 minutes later, another text. I know you're upset, but please, I just want to explain. I blocked the number. Figured that was that. But Kendra doesn't quit easy. Next 3 days, more texts, 4 different numbers. Some were hers, some from old friends in Spokane I hadn't heard from since I left. Hey man, Kendra's trying to reach you. Can you at least hear her out? Dylan, she's really sorry about how things ended. Maybe give her a chance. I blocked them all. Then came the calls. I'd changed my number, but she found it anyway. Probably got it from someone at my old apartment. Or maybe an old coworker. I never answered. Let every call go to voicemail. Deleted them without listening. I knew what she wanted. I didn't need to hear her spell it out. Day 4, she showed up in person. I was coming back from hiking Danyon Trail, still in boots and thermal layers, and saw her white Nissan Altima parked in my driveway. Engine off, just waiting. When I pulled in, she got out. I grabbed my backpack and headed for the door, not saying a word. Dylan, she called out. Her voice was just like I remembered, controlled, careful, like she'd rehearsed. Dylan, please, just 5 minutes. I stopped at the door, key in hand, didn't turn around. You should leave, Kendra. She sounded frustrated now. I drove 6 hours to get here. The least you could do is look at me. I unlocked the door, stepped inside, closed it. For a second, I felt that old reflex to give her a chance, listen to her story, but I let it go. She followed me to the door, knocked 3 times, paused 3 more. I know you're angry, she called through the door. I know I hurt you, but Dylan, I made a mistake. I was scared when you lost your job. I didn't handle it well. I'm sorry. I want to fix this. I stood there listening. Part of me wanted to open the door, to let her explain, to hear whatever excuse she'd settled on. But I knew what this was. She didn't miss me. She missed what I used to give her. I still love you, she said, softer. I never stopped. I walked away, made a sandwich, turned on the TV. After a while, I heard her car start up and drive off. That wasn't the end. She came back twice more that week. Once Tuesday night, once Thursday afternoon. Both times I ignored her. Both times she left after 20 minutes. The third time, she left a handwritten letter under my windshield wiper. I tossed it without reading. I mentioned it to Seth, a fishing guide I'd met at the Roasted Bean. We'd traded beers now and then. I told him about the ex who wouldn't take a hint. He asked if I wanted him to step in, maybe talk to her, get her to back off. I told him not to bother. She'd get the hint sooner or later. Must have been some breakup, he said. I just shrugged. She left me when I lost my job. Now she wants back in. Seth raised his eyebrows. And you're not interested. Not even a little. He grinned. Good for you, man. Sounds like you dodged a bullet. What Seth didn't know, and really nobody in Whitefish did, was the whole story. People knew I'd moved from Washington, worked in IT, was single. That's about all I ever gave them. I never brought up the lottery. Never mentioned the money. I kept things low-key. Drove around in a used Ford F-150. I picked up from a local dealer for $18,000. Wore the same old flannel shirts and jeans I'd always worn. There was nothing about me that said, pay attention. I just looked like some guy starting over. Around then, I started seeing someone. Allison Carter. She was 33, a veterinarian at a clinic just outside town. We met at a community potluck in early December 2024. Classic small-town stuff. Everyone brings a dish and stands around making small talk for hours. She brought homemade chili. I brought store-bought cookies because I still couldn't cook to save my life. We got to talking about hiking, her work, why I'd ended up in Montana. I kept it light, just said I needed a change after a rough year. She didn't push for more. We swapped numbers, grabbed coffee a few days later, and that was it. It felt easy. No pressure, no weirdness, just 2 people getting to know each other. By the time Kendra showed up for the first time in late February, I'd already been seeing Allison for a couple months. Nothing official, but it was going somewhere. After Kendra's second visit, I told Allison about her. Didn't want her blindsided if my ex showed up again. Allison just shrugged. Sounds like she's realizing what she gave up. That's her problem, not yours. I really appreciated that. No drama, no jealousy. Just a simple understanding that my past was my past. It didn't have to drag into whatever we were building. Kendra stopped showing up after the 3rd visit, but the texts kept rolling in for another couple weeks. Different numbers, same old story. Apologies, regrets, promises to change. I blocked them all. By mid-March, the messages finally stopped. Later, a mutual acquaintance reached out on LinkedIn before I blocked him too. Turns out Kendra was telling people back in Spokane that we were on a break, that she needed space, and now she was ready to work things out. She made herself look like the one trying to fix things, painted me as the stubborn ex who wouldn't give her a chance. Didn't matter. The people who knew what really happened knew. The rest weren't worth my energy. I learned a long time ago you can't control what people think. You can only control how you react. So I chose not to react at all. By April 2025, Kendra was just a footnote. Someone I used to know, someone who made her choices and had to live with them. I didn't hate her. Honestly, I barely thought about her at all. I just moved on. Allison and I kept seeing each other. We went cross-country skiing in Glacier, had dinners at her place, took drives through little towns. It was simple and good. Everything my thing with Kendra never was. This was built on who I actually was, not who someone wanted me to be. I still hadn't told Allison about the money. It wasn't about trust, it just didn't matter. She liked me for me, the guy who brought cookies to potlucks and fixed her clinic's computer network because he could. That was enough. Spring crept into Whitefish the way it always does. Slow, like winter's got a death grip. The snow started melting in late March, and by April you could actually hike the trails again. I'd been there 5 months by then, and it felt more like home than Spokane ever did. I had routines, friends, a life that was mine, built the way I wanted. Allison and I settled into a good rhythm. We saw each other a few times a week. No rush to slap a label on it or make big plans. She introduced me to her parents over dinner in March. They were good people. Her dad used to be a forest ranger. Her mom taught elementary school. They asked about my work, what brought me to Montana. The usual. I kept it honest, even if I left some pieces out. They seemed to like me. I started volunteering more around town. The youth center I'd helped set up their network asked if I could teach a basic coding class for high school kids. I said sure. Once a week I spent an afternoon with those kids. Nothing big, but they paid attention. They actually wanted to learn. It reminded me why I'd started all this to begin with. Back before the endless mergers. Before worrying if my job would survive the month. Before the noise of building a tech career got so loud. Money didn't matter anymore. Sure, but I still picked up freelance gigs now and then. Not for the cash, for the structure. I'd heard too many stories about people who hit it big, quit everything, and just unraveled. That wasn't going to be me. Work kept me steady, kept me honest. It connected me to the version of myself I could still respect. No one online knew about any of this. My socials stayed dark. I just didn't care about broadcasting my life to strangers. People in Whitefish called me Dylan, the quiet IT guy from Washington. That was enough. Then late May 2025, I got an email that threw me. I was checking the new account I'd set up after Spokane, and there it was. Jennifer Kowalski. She'd been Kendra's best friend back when Kendra and I were together. We'd hung out, always got along, but after the breakup, nothing. I almost trashed it unread, but curiosity won. The message was quick. Hey Dylan, I know this is random, but you should know. Kendra's telling people you won money and left and that you owe her because you two were together when you bought the ticket. I don't know if it's true, but I thought you should know. Take care, Jen. I read it twice, then leaned back and laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was classic Kendra. Of course she pieced it together. Of course she spun the story to make herself look wronged. Of course she thought she deserved a cut of something she'd already walked away from. I didn't reply. What was there to say? She could tell whatever story she liked. The facts were locked down. Folkman made sure of that. The ticket was mine, bought after she left with my money. If she tried to sue, which, honestly, I doubted she'd be dumb enough to try, she'd lose and everyone would see it. But that wasn't her style anyway. Kendra would rather whisper to friends, stir up drama, paint herself as the one who got screwed by the lucky guy. It was easier than admitting she made a choice and had to live with it. Just to be safe, I forwarded Jen's email to Volkman. He replied in under an hour. Noted. If she makes any formal claims or contacts you legally, tell me right away. Otherwise, ignore it. You're protected, so I did. I ignored it. Life moved on. In June, Allison and I spent a weekend in Missoula. Bed and breakfast near the Clark Fork, wandered downtown. We talked about taking a longer trip later, maybe Yellowstone. She still didn't know about the money. I still wasn't sure if I'd ever tell her. It wasn't about trust. I just wanted to know what we had was real. untouched by all those zeros in my account. By July, Kendra wasn't even a thought anymore. She was a closed chapter. Her trying to rewrite it didn't change anything for me. I didn't feel like defending myself to people who barely knew me. The ones who didn't need an explanation. I ran into Seth at a barbecue that month. He'd heard from someone back in Washington about the rumors Kendra was spreading. Asked if I wanted to clear things up. I told him what I kept telling myself. People believe what they want. I'm not wasting time trying to change anyone's mind. He just nodded, cracked open a beer, and said, "Fair enough. You seem happy, man. That's what matters." He was right, I was happy. Not in any flashy way, just content. I woke up in a house I owned, in a town I liked, around people who actually cared. My days mattered, even if it was just teaching teens Python or fixing a non-profit's busted server. I had enough money to never stress over bills again, but I lived like I didn't. That balance between comfort and humility felt right. And yeah, I saw the irony. Kendra left because she thought I had no future. The future showed up anyway, just after she'd already gone. Honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. If she'd stayed, I would have shared everything with her. I would have tried, honestly, to make it work. But she didn't. She weighed it all up, decided I just wasn't worth the risk, and walked away. That wasn't me being cruel. That was just the consequence of her choice. I never gloated, never rubbed it in her face. I never sent any message like, "Look what you missed out on." I just lived my life. I moved on. And that silence, that complete, unbreakable silence, felt like the only response she really deserved. People always act like revenge needs to be loud, like you have to destroy someone or stage some dramatic showdown. But that's not real. Real revenge is different. It's living well. It's building something better without them in it. It's showing that their absence didn't break you. It set you free. Kendra wanted me to fail. She expected I'd fall apart, come crawling back just to prove she'd been right to leave. Instead, I disappeared. I rebuilt. I found peace in a place she'd never see, with people she'd never meet. And by the time she realized what she'd lost, I was already gone. I'd moved on. That's the thing about walking away. You don't look back, you don't keep score, you just keep going. Now it's October 2025 and I'm still here in Whitefish, still with Allison. Still teaching that coding class on Wednesdays. Still volunteering. Still hiking. Still living a life that's mine. The money's in the bank. Managed and invested, right? But honestly, it's just a safety net. A reminder that luck sometimes sneaks in when you least expect it. Kendra's probably somewhere in Spokane, telling her version of everything to anyone who'll listen. I don't know if she's happy. I don't know if she ever thinks about that Tuesday morning when she told me I had no future. Doesn't matter. I found my future, and it never included her. If you like this story, hit like and drop a comment to let me know what you think. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.